At this time of the year, I am normally in Tullamore, in the beautiful parish church of the Assumption, introducing one of the annual series of July concerts centred on the superb Danish-built pipe organ which has been a feature of the church since 1995. Sadly, this year, for reasons we all know too well, this has not been possible. And so, rather than do nothing, we have decided to bring you through the wonders of the internet 3 archived programmes, one this evening and the remaining 2 on the last 2 Tuesdays of July. These weekly concerts in Tullamore have been going since 1999, and so this year we would have been celebrating the 22nd annual series, made possible by the generous support of Offaly County Council, the Trench Trust from Birr, the Tullamore Court Hotel, and the loyalty of so many people who come each week to form a faithful and much appreciated audience. Hopefully we will all be back with real live concerts next July, Deo Volente. We begin with a film on the unique history of this organ and how its transference to Tullamore came about. This video, made by Brian McIver, was first seen on RTE television some 25 years ago. And this will be followed by excerpts from the Austrian organist Johann Trummer's recital in 2011 and a delightful Mozart church sonata played by good friends of the Tullamore series over the years, Bogdan Sofei from Bucharest, long-time resident of Galway where he is leader of the Contempo Quartet, Adele and Aoise O'Dwyer, residents of Tullamore, mother and daughter, viola and cellist, and as organist Thomas Charles Marshal, originally from Port Leisha, now organist in Dublin. So I hope you enjoy the evening.
It was, from the first beginning, a very good story, and it turned out to end also as a very good story. The story about a wonderful church instrument, an organ, constructed for the praise of our Lord, having served in Our Lady's Church in Copenhagen for 30 years, and now being transported over sea and land to a church of Our Lady's Assumption in Tullamore to serve in the same praise of our Lord. That, I think, is a very good story.
I feel great relief, because looking at that, what's happened in the last hour or two, trying to get that thing off the trailer and that huge big container in and safely down into the church grounds. So now that it's been achieved, I suppose I feel a great sense of relief. And I suppose I would have also a feeling of excitement about what's the prospects ahead and what's going to happen in this church with this marvellous new instrument, this great gift from the people of Denmark. It's something extraordinary and something that we're all excited about here in Tullamore, I'd say. And we're hoping that it'll be the beginning of many, many exciting ventures and liturgical celebrations here in the church.
The gift is a highly valuable Frobenius pipe organ from one of Copenhagen's leading churches to the people of Tullamore. So how did this gift come about?
Well, it started in about June 1993 when the parish priest here at Tullamore, Father Willie Cleary, approached me for some advice on acquiring an organ for the church. The church had now been open for some years. A space had been provided here in this gallery for the organ, but nothing had been done about actually acquiring a pipe organ for the church. So he asked me to advise the parish on this project, and the agreement was that I would come back to them in September with some proposals. So in August of that year I set off my usual continental recital tour, one of the recitals which took place in Copenhagen Cathedral, a building I knew very well and an organ I know very well as I had played there several times over the past 20 years. And after the recital, the organist, an old friend, Niels Henrik Nielsen, said to me that he was going to get a new organ, a much larger instrument to fill the vast space of the cathedral in Copenhagen, and that they were about to dispose of the existing organ, a very fine Frobenius instrument of 1965. And he asked me, did I know of any suitable home for this about to be redundant organ?
We had a problem because when we were going to change our instrument here in the church, we need to either sell the earlier organ or to place it in another way. And we couldn't sell it, so I was asking my colleagues, and I was asking Gerard Gillen, of course. He has been here in the summertime to play. Ask him, could you find a place, do you know about a church, maybe, which need an organ as what we have in that time?
I came back to Ireland quite excited, got in touch with Father Cleary at Tullamore.
The new church here was incomplete because it hadn't a good organ, and we were looking around searching for a good instrument, and then suddenly we invited down a specialist, Gerard Gillen, to talk to the people of the parish, and Gerard mentioned about this organ being available in Copenhagen, and of course we were delighted, and we said, if you can find it for us, please get it.
So then we got in touch with Copenhagen and found them still receptive, even though in the meantime word had got out that this instrument was going, and they had been given some quite lucrative offers from other places, yet they felt that as they had made a commitment to me to give the instrument gratis to a suitable home, they would stand by this. And to cut this rather long story short, an agreement was reached between the parish of Tullamore and the cathedral authorities in Copenhagen to give the instrument here to Tullamore.
So what made Tullamore's case so special?
I think it was special because Gerard Gillen knew about this possibility, and he has been asked over there finding an organ for the church in Tullamore. I didn't know about Tullamore, but he came and told us, now I have found a church for your organ, where it is possible to place it big enough, and they would be very interested.
For me, it was important, very important, that our organ could have a future life in a church.
It was important then that the Frobenius organ found a home in another church, because the Kirk is one of the most famous churches in Denmark. Every morning since 1928, a broadcast service has been transmitted from this building. It is heard by over 150,000 Danes, and with the recent revival in church attendance in Scandinavia, this figure is rising. Now that the Kirk has its new instrument, this tradition is set to run for a long time into the future. This was an instrument which was one of the most famous ones in Denmark, manufactured by one of the most famous organ builders in the world, Frobenius. The challenge in Tullamore was to install the instrument as quickly as possible to the highest standards of organ building. This was achieved by Frobenius' team of master craftsmen, who even found time during their stay in Tullamore to become part of the community. Although the major parts of the instrument were installed soon after their arrival, to the delight of the people of Tullamore, the main work was in voicing and tuning the pipes. All the hard work eventually gave a very pleasing result to the man whose brainchild it all was. Now that the gift was in place, what was the reaction of the people in Tullamore?
Unbelievable, really. It's very hard to take it in, and I feel, it's something that we never dreamt that we would have in this church.
Well, I suppose we've had the good ones, the people were thrilled with it. And then at times people would say, well, I'm wondering, is there any difference from what we had in a much, much smaller electrical organ? So we would have to say, well, when it's at its best, you certainly will have no doubt, and they would agree on that. So when Michael opens up all the stops and really gives it the full expression, I think people appreciate it very much.
Well, I suppose initially it was one of great relief that it had worked. It was working, and it had been the whole transplant, the revoicing, the recasing, had been so successfully accomplished by these three marvellous guys from the Frobenius firm who came and did this job.
With the organ now ready for its formal inauguration, what was the reaction of the original owners from Denmark?
I've always been very fond of our organ. I was in this church when it was installed in 1965. I was a young chaplain at that time, and from the first day I was very fond of it, and that also meant that I was a little sad that the wonderful pipes, the wonderful tunes from this organ were silenced in our Copenhagen church. And then when I heard it in Tullamore, well, as I told you, I personally felt at home. And I had the impression that that was the case with the organ too.
My reaction was, I know this organ very well. I know how it is to play on and how it works. And I knew all about it. Well, it was like meeting an old friend again.
The top experience was, of course, meeting our organ again in this new home. The gala concert, no doubt. It was wonderful to hear as well Hartmann's Fantasias, Kaisers and so on. It was wonderful to hear this again.